Hi guys, this is Devnath from Officers IAS Academy. In this video, we are going to talk about zero budget natural farming. So why is this zero budget natural farming in news first of all? So during this budget cycle in January, the Finance Minister of India, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, referred to the zero budget natural farming as something as back to basics farming. If all agricultural fields in India were to replicate this method, then it would help sufficiently in doubling farmers' income, which is an agenda that all of us, including the government of India, has. So what is this zero budget natural farming? Where did it all start from? So the premise of zero budget natural farming is that when you go out in the forests, you see a lot of fruits and flowers flowering, a lot of creepers, wild ones growing. So who goes and plants all these things there first of all, and who gives them water, who gives them fertilizers? But yet, how are they able to give the fruits year after year, season after season? What is it that is being done to them? The answer to that is nothing actually. It is just nature playing its own game, and these are all growing as they would normally. So this idea, if taken into the agricultural fields, won't yield be better? Will there not be more yield, and we'll have good produce year after year, season after season? This is the premise of zero budget natural farming. So natural farming itself is a technique which involves not giving any fertilizers, not any chemicals to the agricultural field. And chemicals, as you know, go into the body and it becomes toxins and potential carcinogens as well. So in 1975, one Japanese philosopher, agriculturalist called Masanobu Fukuoka, in his book One Straw Revolution, talked about the zero budget natural farming and natural farming in general. In India, Mr. Subhash Palekar from Maharashtra helped develop this farming association in Karnataka called Rajya Raita Sangha. It was developed in the 1990s in opposition to the Green Revolution methods. So why did it have to oppose the Green Revolution methods? What were its methods first of all, and what were the drawbacks of Green Revolution method? To answer that, we have to pan a little backwards into history. So during the 1960s, agricultural produce in India was not sufficient. We had to even import food, and for which we needed to expend a lot of forex. And also there were concerns of food security because not much produce was being found within fields in India. So if food security is a concern, then definitely there must be something to done to change this, to overturn this. At that moment, spearheaded by M.S. Swaminathan in India during the 1960s, we had something called Green Revolution. Now this revolutionized, according to its name, the entire agricultural sector. It recommended the use of high yielding varieties of seed. It recommended the use of a lot of fertilizers and pesticides. It recommended intensive irrigation of agricultural fields. All these methods did give out their results. It did benefit a lot of farmers. A lot of large farm holding farmers in Punjab, Haryana and UP, they were able to benefit from these Green Revolution methods. And during the 1960s, to address the concern of food security, India definitely needed the Green Revolution. But what the problems that Green Revolution bring about? What were the problems that it created? First of all, the high yielding variety seeds were given out by certain companies. These seeds were branded. So farmers had to repeatedly buy these seeds, which were a little costly. Farm implements started populating farmlands a lot, like tractors, millers, threshers, etc. For all this, the farmers had to expend a lot of money. And ecologically, the agricultural soil became more salinized. In our food, there came to be more toxins. And slowly, even in the first initial years, if Green Revolution did prove a success, in later years, what happens, agricultural fields started to give a lot lesser than what they used to do before with the Green Revolution methods. The soil started degrading, and we had a lot of chemicals in our food. And this put farmers who had invested a lot of money into the farm implements and the pesticides and the seeds to slowly lose income, to slowly lose yield. This got them into a vicious cycle of debt. Just so that they, with their aspirations that they could do better with high yielding varieties and farm implements, they started borrowing money from different money lenders. This got them into a vicious cycle of debt, and ultimately farmers' suicides also proliferated in India, which is still a very sad reality. So in opposition to this, Subhash Palekar said we should have the zero budget natural farming method. So what is this method first of all? How is it different from the normal farming, conventional farming methods that is there around in most of the fields in India? First of all, in place of fertilizers, it recommends something called as the Jivamrita. The Jivamrita is a mixture of the cow dung of a desi cow, an indigenous breed of cow, and cow urine, and also some other implements such as rice flour, etc. This would support the agricultural field as fertilizer or manure is what he said, right? And then there was the recommended use of something called as the Bijamrita, which is for seed treatment. In green revolution methods, you have the high yielding variety seeds. Of course, they are going to yield more. But what is there as an alternative in zero budget natural farming? It is the Bijamrita, which is there for seed treatment. And what about pesticides? Pests do definitely attack the crops that are there, and India is a tropical country. You can expect a lot of pests to infest the agricultural fields. What is there for that? For which he recommended a method by mixing red chilies, tobacco, and other neem leaves pulp also to act as pesticides, and this, he said, will definitely keep away the pests. Along with this, the zero budget natural farming also talks about retaining the soil moisture. It says soil moisture, if it is retained, you don't have to irrigate the land too much. You do not have to do intensive irrigation. If you can retain the soil moisture, that itself is sufficient for the plants to grow, is what Subhash Palekar said through ZBNF, zero budget natural farming. So this recommends a very interesting agricultural practice called soil mulching, whereby the weeds that grow on the agricultural field, the residue that is left after one harvest, all that is placed as a cover on top of the topsoil, which means there is not much evaporation from soil and the nutrients also stay within the soil. This earthworm activity spurs the growth of a lot of crops. So this soil mulching is another important aspect of ZBNF. One more aspect of it is intercropping, cropping different crops together in one field and broadcasting the seeds. Intercropping is to be done in this, as well as bunding. Bunding, which means separating the large lands into small parcels of land so that water runoff is minimized and water stays within the agricultural field. So the four pillars, so to say, of the ZBNF are the Jivamrita, the Bijamrita, the Vaphasa, which means retaining the soil moisture, and also soil mulching. These are the four pillars of ZBNF. Now, how is it different from organic farming? So as you know, natural farming and organic farming, many people have this confusion as to what exactly is the difference between these two. Is there a difference at all? Because organic farming also talks about no chemicals in agriculture. What is the difference between these two? First of all, the first key difference is that there is no extra addition of manure as such in ZBNF. It is only the Jivamrita which is supplied to the land. Whereas in organic farming, you need to have specific compost and specific manure. Vermicompost is also done and applied to the field. It is something which is prepared exactly for the field, but here it is mixed randomly and then applied to the field in ZBNF. The second difference is that ZBNF does not recommend any agricultural practice such as weeding or tilling. It says keep your land without tilling. You do not have to till the land. You don't have to take the weeds, because the weeds are actually helping the crops to grow. That is with ZBNF. Whereas in organic farming, basic agricultural practices such as de-weeding and tilling of the field must be done. The third key difference is that ZBNF is zero budget. There is no cost at all actually involved. Very negligible cost, if at all there is something, because the cow dung and cow urine is gotten from the cow, the desi cow, the indigenous cow that the farmer owns himself. And with that, he just has to mix rice flour and some water and jaggery. That would be done. Actually, no cost is ZBNF. Whereas in organic farming, it is a costly affair. You need prepared manures, the vermicompost, the compost, they do cost a lot of money, and you need skilled labor for organic farming. Whereas in ZBNF, unskilled labor, you can make do with it. Whereas in organic farming, you need skilled labor, which takes a lot of money. So organic farming is costing more, whereas ZBNF is zero cost. Now, what are the advantages of ZBNF? First of all, it keeps away toxins from the food. Next, it induces a natural way of growing crops. It gives a lot of benefit to the farmers. A lot of farmers in Karnataka who started this experiment with ZBNF, they said they did have a lot of good yields with practicing ZBNF more than these conventional farming techniques. And fourthly and most importantly, farmers need not have to buy the costly farm implements, which means they can keep away from the vicious cycle of debts which is leading them into suicides. But what are the disadvantages? Any system cannot be devoid with the disadvantages. So if you see, Sikkim went completely organic. It said all the farms in Sikkim were to be only organic farms. It went completely organic 2 years back. Initially, the experiment was paying off very well for Sikkim, but slowly the produce and the yield has been coming down. So natural farming, there is a concern with zero budget natural farming that now it is okay, the yields are good, but as the years pass on, definitely the yield is going to come down. This is not a long-term solution. We have million mouths to feed within India, and that is a food security concern. If all the fields are going to do only ZBNF, and if yields are going to come down, then definitely we would not have the amount of food to all the starving mouths that are there in India. So the question of yield is a big disadvantage with ZBNF. And finally, the third criticism or disadvantage is that though it says that it is zero budget, there is absolutely no cost. It is experienced through farmers' own experience that they have some cost to expend for the ZBNF field. The field has to be prepared, the cow dung has to be mixed in a definite proportion, rice flour, jaggery, all this have to be bought. So it is not that there is no cost, there is some cost, it is just that it is lesser than the conventional farming techniques. Now ZBNF, with the government's push, is being taken up aggressively in Himachal Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh has said that most of the fields will turn into ZBNF fields, zero budget natural farming fields, in the years to come. So this is why this was in current affairs. I hope you understood everything about ZBNF. Until the next time, thank you.